So the first two books, my sister and I kind of came up with terms that just fit what was happening rather than some kind of diagnosis or scientific jargon, or we just wanted to talk about it normally. So in the first two books, there's words there, one person relationship or a two-person relationship, and the difference between those two things. In it, the in it moment. We wanted to make that clear, giving up ourself or oneself to make a relationship work. So we just want to talk about it in words rather than something that goes like this over our heads. In a one-person relationship, the relationship is only about one person. And the other person is giving up themselves to make it work for the person that they're with, who needs things to be their way. So that's about power. And there's a lot of people that know how to be in a relationship where they have to give up themselves for the person that they're in relationship with. To me, that's not a relationship. It's a thing that most often doesn't feel good to one person. The title of this book is an AFOG, AFOG. Well, the word is an acronym, so it means that the initials stand for words. And the words are another fucking opportunity to grow. Somebody made up that AFOG term. I don't know if it's in use. I think it's in use in places. I'm hopeful with the book it will be more in use. And if you don't want to use fucking, you can use frigging, another frigging opportunity to grow. So it's a cue. It's a cue for two people to understand the moment between us isn't working. We're just arguing and yelling at one another. So it's just more information about our emotional reactions, are clues to what happened to us as children. Because we either grow emotionally more mature or we don't. So we have a lot of humans that are not emotionally adults, mature adults. They're still emotionally children. And that's why I feel like we have wars, why couples fight, why countries fight. It doesn't work to fight about things. We have to be able to have two people solve our difficulty together. This is what they learned in relationship with their parents, is to, if your parents are scary, the child learns to focus on the parents' needs and feelings. So when they are adults, they have learned how to give up themselves to make the relationship work for someone else. Or as a child, they become like their parents, parent who is a bully. There's more than several gurus who feel there is a growing consciousness happening now. We have to, because we are in imminent danger, we humans, of destroying ourselves. Our human relationships are the basis of relating with our planet, with others. But we are emotionally immature. That's what children do. In the beginning of us, I'm the only person that matters. My mom doesn't matter, except to feed me, to take care of me, to bring me food when I demand it, to keep me warm, to play with me. So that's why moms, their bodies chemically change in order to focus on their child, to be there for their child. The child needs that. It's all about them. That's normal. And if we have parents who are emotionally still children, who solve their issues this way, somebody on top, somebody on the bottom, this person gets their way, this person takes care of this person. We're not relating with one another. We're not caring about one another, are we? And so, as long as we're fighting about things, who wins and who loses, we do not have relationships. We have fighting, destruction. Hopefully, as we grow, our parents help us to become us and be aware that someone else exists in the same moment in time as I do. So we have this relationship. We are 20 years, 18 to 20 years with our parents. Our parents had parents too. Their parents had parents also. So we've been conditioned in the way our parents were conditioned with their parents, who were conditioned by their parents. Unless our parents had learned something different. My parents didn't learn anything different. My mother was in charge in my family. My father sat over there in his chair and just went to work and did what he was supposed to do. My mother was the boss, which means that we children had a boss every day of our lives. For 18 to 20 years, we had a boss. So when we get out and become adults, or, teenagers, adolescents, and then young adults, we go into relationships. How do we know how to relate with someone like this? That's all we know. That's what we've experienced. It's in us. So now, if we're young children still, emotionally, I just want what I want. You take care of me. Well, let me say this. The books, you'll do anything for him and you'll do anything for her. I have two sisters All of us have been in relationship where we have given up ourselves to take care of the person we're with. We learned that in our relationship with my mother. That's what we learned. So that's unconscious in us. We just do what's been done to us. So that's why I like to be a therapist, is help people become aware of what they're doing and what's happening to them. My first two relationships were 10 years each. And then I ghosted them. Yeah, that's the only, no talking, no interaction, no discussion, just boom. Oh, I'm moving out. I had no experience how to be in a two-person relationship. I only knew how to be in a one-person relationship. So most of us are unconscious about what we're doing in relationships. We're just in them and we hope we're in love and we hope it lasts. There's no way. We're with an individual. There are two of us. They want what they want. I want what I want. How do we handle that? How do we make it work for both of us? I don't even have that concept in my experience. How would I know? I didn't even know how to talk to the people I was with, because many people were not loved as children. They had to learn to do it their parents' ways. That means the child wasn't focused on and helped to grow up to know what was going on. My mother was not interested in knowing us at all. She didn't know that. She was unconscious. That's what happened to her as a child. She did not know. My mother had many friends, and she loved her friends and wanted to spend time with her friends and did not want to spend time with us, her three children. She didn't realize that consciously because that's what had happened to her. That's who her parents were to her. So she just had children, did what she was supposed to do, and then had a ton of friends. And when we were able to take care of ourselves, I don't know, I might have been 5 or 6, and then she'd leave us and go spend time with her friends, and I was in charge. And so how would I know how to be in a relationship? I didn't know how. So as long as in my first two relationships, as long as I was having fun, I was happy. At about 10 years, both of them, I wasn't having fun anymore. I just left. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was doing something that was unconscious for me. And what was unconscious was at 8 to 10 years old, my family went to Japan. My father was in the Air Force. And from about 8 to 10 for me, I began to know myself consciously as a child. I began to come into myself consciously. So I think that kind of impacted my relationships. I repeated that pattern then in my 2 10-year relationships. I didn't know how to talk to anybody. I had no idea how to talk or what to talk about or to even know what was going on for me. I had no idea. And my partners and we were happy until I up and left. I'm sure I know they were asking what happened. And I was so cruel. I didn't even know I was being cruel. I had no idea what was going on for me emotionally because my mother and father were not helpful to us children to know us ourselves emotionally, what was going on for us, and accepting who we were. We didn't know. So then I unconsciously acted out in my two relationships, the exact same thing. I up and left at about around 10 years of being in a relationship. And I thought, what? I began to think, what is going on for me? My mother said to me something about the person that I had left was so devastated. And when I heard that, I was devastated. I had no idea. It was unintentional. Yeah, well, it was unconscious for me. I didn't know how to be in a relationship. I had no idea because we weren't in relationships with our mother and father. My father just was, he went to work and he came home and he was quiet and did what my mother wanted him to do, and that was that. I mean, we didn't, she wasn't interested in what we were doing. There was a whole thing missing for us was relating with someone. I don't think in good and bad, right and wrong. There's no place to go with that. You're either on good or you've fallen off of good and now you're bad. Life is not like that. It's not either or, it's not concrete. So I like the words, what works for someone. And what works for me may not work for you. And we can talk about that. And we can decide whether or not we we want to maintain a relationship and grow from, whatever just happened between us and handle it differently the next time. They aren't either or. Humans are not either or. It has to work for both of us, and we can make things work for the both of us if we work on that. But most people only know how to fight about it. Or somebody gives up themselves to make the relationship work. So that's what I try to talk about in those 3 books, is the complexity of our experiences as children really determine our life going forward as adults. And if we don't learn anything, then we continue to do the same thing over and over again. My understanding you means I can care about where you're coming from because I can understand you, and you can care about me and where I'm coming from, even though we're coming from different places. We grow emotionally in that understanding, like, oh, because I have empathy for you, you have empathy for me. I'm wanting what I want, you want what you want, and we can care about one another in that moment and find a way to make it work for us both. We don't have to fight about things. We just, our goal is And to me, this is building love, is by learning how to listen and care about and understand each other and have empathy for each other. And when we care about someone, we can make things work for us both. To me, that's a relationship.